All right, let's get right into one of the most critical principles in the entire game of power, Law 40. Now, this isn't just about money. It's really about independence, about obligation, and about the psychological traps that can completely destroy even the best laid plans. It's all about learning to despise the free lunch.
This quote, it just lays it all out there, doesn't it? It's a stark warning. You have to understand, anything that's presented as free almost always comes with invisible strings attached. Things like gratitude or guilt, or sometimes just straight-up deceit. The truly powerful get this. They know that paying their own way is the only way to stay truly free. So, what does this look like in the real world? Well, our first case study is a story of absolute catastrophe. It shows just how that magnetic pull of getting something for nothing can lead you straight to ruin. Let's talk about the quest for El Dorado.
Now you have to appreciate the power of this fantasy. For the Spanish Empire, which was kind of exhausted from conquest, but still incredibly hungry for more, the idea of El Dorado, an entire empire of pure, unearned gold, it was completely intoxicating. This wasn't just about wealth, it was the ultimate shortcut to power, a free lunch on a massive continental scale.
But the price for chasing this fantasy was absolutely staggering. We're talking generations of conquistadors, thousands upon thousands of lives, and fortunes that could have built an entire nation. All of it just poured into the jungle, chasing a ghost. That obsession with free gold didn't make Spain rich, it completely hollowed it out from the inside.
So, here's the crucial lesson. The hunt for easy money is like a corrosive acid. It completely eats away at the very qualities that you need to build lasting power. Things like patience, strategy, and self-control. You see, real power is a fortress that you build stone by stone, not some treasure chest you just happen to stumble upon.
Okay, so let's see how this idea builds. It's not just about avoiding these huge, grand fantasies like El Dorado. The law also works at the other end of the spectrum, miserliness. Being cheap. It often carries a much, much higher price than you'd ever think.
The story of the Duchess of Marlborough is the perfect illustration of these hidden costs. By trying to save every last penny on building her palace, she ended up paying for it dearly. And I don't just mean in money from all the lawsuits. She paid in time. She paid in her relationships with the Queen, with her architect, and in the end she paid with her own legacy. She's not remembered for her power, she's remembered for her pettiness.
And this right here is the key insight. The powerful operate with a different kind of balance sheet. They understand that their time, their reputation, their dignity, and their peace of mind, these are far more valuable currencies than cash. They don't just ask, how much is it? They ask, what is this really going to cost me?
So to really master this law, it's not enough to just control your own impulses. You have to be able to spot the financial problems in other people. So let's break down 4 toxic personalities that you absolutely have to learn to identify and, well, neutralize.
First, you've got the greedy fish. They're so focused on the bottom line that they're easily tricked by anyone who understands a little bit of human nature. Then there's the bargain demon, the person who will waste hours of their time and their dignity just to chase a tiny discount. Then you have the sadist, who weaponizes money just to inflict pain and create these toxic situations. And finally, the indiscriminate giver. Their generosity comes from a place of neediness, and it creates this heavy burden of emotional obligation. Recognizing these types lets you steer clear of their traps.
All right, so we've talked a lot about defense. Now we're going to pivot. Let's talk about offense. Because this law isn't just about avoiding free lunches. It's about learning how to serve them strategically. You see, generosity, when you use it correctly, is one of the most powerful weapons you can have. Just look at Pietro Aretino. He was the son of a shoemaker, and he became one of the most influential writers of the entire Renaissance. He didn't beg for money, he gave gifts to powerful people. And by doing that, he completely flipped the power dynamic. He wasn't their subordinate asking for a handout, he was their equal, and he put them in his debt. He literally transformed his money into a huge network of influence.
Louis XIV, he turned this into a science. His method was just a masterclass in psychological manipulation. First, he'd create a lot of tension by ignoring a noble who was causing him trouble. Then out of nowhere, this lavish, thoughtful gift would just show up. This unexpected generosity would completely disarm them. It would dissolve their resentment, make them emotionally soft, and only then, when their defenses were down, would he make his move.
This is what we call strategic generosity. It taps into a really deep-seated childhood psychology, where a gift feels like a sign of love or approval. It makes the person who receives it feel vulnerable and open. It completely bypasses their rational defenses and makes them susceptible to your influence. It's not a bribe.
It's an emotional key that unlocks their will. Now, this is absolutely critical to understand. This law is a double-edged sword. You have to learn to defend yourself against the temptation of the free lunch, but you also have to understand how to use that exact same temptation to deceive others.
Look at the contrast here. It's night and day. To defend yourself, you insist on paying the full price. You value your independence above everything else, and you're always on the lookout for hidden strings. But to go on the offensive, you do the exact opposite. You dangle the idea of easy money. You bait the hook with a free lunch, and you exploit that universal human desire to get something for nothing.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to a man who made a career out of this, Joseph "Yellow Kid" Weil, one of the greatest con artists in history. He knew that human greed was his greatest weapon. His entire career was built on the simple, unchanging fact that people just cannot resist the promise of a free lunch. So this brings us to the final, ultimate philosophy behind this law. This isn't about being a miser, and it's not about being a spendthrift. It's about understanding the true nature, the true purpose of money in the game of power.
The ancient wisdom of Aesop is as true today as it ever was. Money that you hoard is dead. It's stagnant. It's useless. Real power doesn't come from having money. It comes from deploying it strategically, to buy loyalty, to create obligation, and to build your influence.
Think of money and power like a river. If you dam it up, the water becomes stagnant and foul. But if you let it flow, if you circulate it through strategic generosity, it irrigates the entire landscape, generating more and more power and wealth in ever-widening circles.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. That favor from a friend, that opportunity that just seems too good to be true, that bargain you just couldn't resist, look closely. Where in your life is the illusion of a free lunch secretly costing you your time, your dignity, or your independence? Finding the answer to that, that's the first step to reclaiming your power.